They are young, they are incredibly funky. And when they burst to the scene in around 2013, the Indian Gen Z sat up and took notice. Now, here's a company that really didn't follow trends as such because they were pretty much setting it all the time. Now, from capturing the pulse of the country to staying ahead of that pop culture curve, ScoopWhoop has pretty much done it all. But behind that monumental success is a robust digital foundation that is seldom discussed. We talk about their impact, we talk about their business, but nobody ever says, what's their tech stack like? And today, we're talking about all that's happening behind the scenes at ScoopWhoop. Hello and welcome to our Meet with Digital Thinkers Fireside Chat, where we meet digital practitioners who are transforming businesses using technology. Now, how did ScoopWhoop scale up? How are they managing the workloads? What's the bleeding edge tech that they are considering for their next stage of growth? And how is Google Cloud changing the paradigm for them? We are here to find out about all that. So first, please welcome Piyush Yadav, the head of tech at ScoopWhoop. Piyush is a tech leader with expertise in software development and design. He's highly experienced in internet technology applications, mobile apps, SaaS products, e-commerce websites, enterprise software, systems integration, and at ScoopWhoop, right? Piyush is leading the mandate for ad tech innovation, data-driven tech creation, using AI and ML for insights for content and ad relevance and seamless user experience. Piyush, thanks for plugging in. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Ashwin. Thanks for having me here.
We're delighted to have you. And joining Piyush and all of us to lead this conversation is Sujit J, the head of marketing India for Google Cloud. And we're thrilled to have you join us today. Thanks for joining in, Sujit.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ashwin.
And enabling this transformation for ScoopWhoop, right, was Searce. Now we have Ankit Sinha, the VP of Cloud Practice and Consulting for Searce with us. Now Ankit leads all practices and consulting teams for the APAC region, and this includes cloud, data, AI, ML, work transformation, location intelligence, app modernization, and cloud native app engineering practices. And he's got over 16 years of tech and sales experience with stalwarts like IBM, SAP, Google, and most recently at Paytm. Ankit brings the best of cloud and business understanding. Thanks for joining us, Ankit.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for having us, Ashwin.
Now, this conversation, right, is as much as about you guys. So if you have any thoughts about anything that we are discussing today, drop us a line. We will love to address everything that you're thinking about after the chat. But for right now, let's find out how ScoopWhoop is accomplishing all the things that they're able to do on Google Cloud. Over to you, Sujit. Take it away.
Thank you, Ashwin. And Piyush, Ankit, great to have you here along with me for this conversation this afternoon. One of the things that I hear loud and clear from customers and partners every time we engage with them is that digital transformation or technology-led transformation is core of their agenda today, be it in board meetings or in senior management conversations on how they're iterating or pivoting their businesses. But more importantly, the thing that they also call out is the complexity involved in it. While we all do say that technology has all the answers, but I'm sure there's more to the whole picture. And in this conversation, frankly, between the both of you, I want to bring out not just what the good or easy parts were, or the success part of the whole thing, but the experience of the challenges that you had to navigate. Piyush, you as a customer who's trying to build the right tech stack to support your complex business requirements, and Ankit, you as a partner enabling ScoopWhoop to be able to deploy what they really want to do in terms of the tech stack. But before we get into the serious stuff this afternoon, Piyush, I wanted to get a glimpse of who you are and let the audience know who is Piyush, how does he think? So I've got a bunch of rapid fire questions. Here's a guideline. Try and keep it to one word or one line at max. We're not expecting a para as an answer. So let's see how you think and how sharp you are as you respond to these questions. Ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
So yeah, I know that you've been in the startup space. What would be a startup that Piyush would like to start if he would start one?
So I think I'll go for a kind of like a space exploration kind of a startup, which has a lot many years to it because only one guy is doing it right now. But I would like to actually in the recent years I would like to challenge solve the problem of platform buildings, because we have got a lot of platforms and there are a lot of problems I see. So I would like to get in my toe in that region and build a platform around kind of like connecting the market with the demand and something like that.
Interesting. So you have the mindset of finding problems and see if you can build a startup around it, which is very, very common in the startup space. But good, thank you for sharing that with us. If you are not going to be a CTO, what would you be doing in life?
I think I would have been a professor of mainly of maybe philosophy or something like that. But that is my interest area. So if it was not it would not be a techie professor. I would be a trying to go into ethics, teachings of some specialty, some part philosophy, something like that.
Oh, interesting. By the way, teaching is also a profession that I am evaluating as my second career. So welcome aboard. So I love that I've got company there. If you look back at your career, I'm sure there have been disasters, right? Which is that one disaster that is loud and clear in your head that you led and were responsible for?
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I will be very honest to you guys. Every day, if something or the other goes wrong, and sometimes there are big disasters. You know what they say about the Murphy's law is that anything which can go wrong will go wrong, and there are so many things which can go wrong. Even right now I'm thinking about shit like what are the aspects I've left behind while launching a product which I just launched a few minutes ago, and there was a big disaster where I thought that I was working on a staging environment, and I deleted the production database, and our live site was down. So that was the biggest disaster in my life, and that day I realized that I need to have processes built in my system rather than just going sudo rm minus rf. We don't do that now.
By the way, the product everyone listening in that Piyush is referring to is unscripted.news that he and team just launched. So if you fall in the age category that they're catering to, and I will give you a sense of why I'm saying this, you should go and log in there. Piyush, I want to come to the next question, right? And there was a reason why I asked this question specifically. Did you shout at yourself after you figured out all the faux pas that you did, or the disasters that you were responsible? Because I want to know, do you yell at your people for being careless with production systems when something goes wrong?
Yeah, I do sometimes, but I really believe that shouting, yelling, or kind of following this kind of a process is not really going to solve the problems for you. What you need to do is to build a positive culture, and that can happen when you have self-driven, self-motivated people who actually know that where they're working on the production environment. So you have to make sure that on the design end itself, when you're designing the team, when you're designing the product, you have these checks and balances. Okay, shout करने की नौबत ना आए, लेकिन जब when the shit hits the fan, then I have to do that. Yeah.
Cool. We will dive into one more area, and then let's dive into the serious stuff, right? Which is the one tech topic you feel is truly overhyped?
Okay. I think right now, I think AI ML is quite overhyped. This is my personal opinion.
Okay.
Why I'm saying this is because there are tools which are present. There are bots which are really good. But what I'm seeing the products right now is somehow just, just not leveraging the 100% of it. कहीं ना कहीं वहाँ पर profiling system बन रहा है. Some kind of a switch statement is still being created. That is not what a bot is supposed to be. He should be automated, completely autonomous. उसको कुछ सोचना चाहिए. So I think that is overhyped. And I actually one more answer to this.
Sure.
I think microservice is really overhyped. We have been talking about microservices a lot, but there is nothing wrong with monolithic services.
Okay.
Even today, we are answering the question ki kitna monolith, kitna microservice, kitna divisions. Still, the modularity is not being answered. We are still answering after 10 years after this concept becomes. So I think that is also overhyped.
Interesting. So what I gather from the answer that you gave to this question is you believe in leapfrogging technologies and not doing the phase-wise transition to something. Interesting. That's a great insight. Let's dive into the serious questions, Piyush, right? And which is what I'm sure the audience is very keen to hear. Now, ScoopWhoop is, I will no more call it a startup because it's been in the space for well over 7 years now, started back in 2013. When I look at your just your product usage, right, metrics, and I was pretty blown by that. 30 million monthly active users, 380 million content views that you manage. And I think the biggest complexity that you have to manage via your products and your platforms is being relevant for a very young audience, which is 70% of your audience is 16 to 30 years old, and who can be very demanding, very short attention spans, which means that be it the product experience, the availability of the content, the relevance of the content, which is customization and personalization, it's pretty complex. As in, I'm sure the audience would love to hear about the ScoopWhoop journey, where it started, where is it today, and maybe some interesting anecdotes along the way that you folks probably included as part of your growth journey.
Well, yeah, like I hope this is not a rapid fire question because this.
No, it isn't. So you can take your time to answer this one.
Awesome. So yeah, ScoopWhoop's journey has been really interesting. Our founders, they, a bunch of friends thought about this meme-ish content, which was really popular in the world, but we didn't have any kind of like a platform or a media site in India, especially catering to the young audience. All the young audience was either searching on some random Facebook groups, or maybe on sites like BuzzFeed or something like that, which were quite international. तो relevant content के लिए our founders, they started a lot of meme-ish content, memes and kind of this young के लिए, and suddenly they found that that we got a lot of traction, we got a lot of attention, we the young people really loved us. Quickly we had to build a website. The first answer, every techies, whoever are listening right now, the first answer to launch a website, WordPress, So that came in everyone's mind. We started off with open source technologies. We started with some blogs, some static website or WordPress or whatever we did. But we quickly started to face problems when it comes to scale. And we had to quickly start building our own CMS. So now, I'll not take you to the whole journey, how it happened. The present situation right now is that we have a complete customized CMS and website system running on multiple cloud providers, multiple microservices and monolith architectures, all databases, and BigQuery and everything. Like whatever you can name right now in the tech stacks, what we have got, we are leveraging mostly everything. So this is what the structure we are setting right now. Yeah.
Interesting. As in, just a follow-up, right? One thing that I wanted to understand is you spoke about that you started off trying to solve a problem that the founders figured out. And then along the way, the one thing that I kind of stumbled upon when I was reading more about the company is just the breadth of products that you're building out, right? During our conversation, you did call out that, Sujit, you fall in the category of the oldies, and you should go and look at Unscripted and follow us there. That you will find news content that's more relevant. What's the mindset behind identifying, hey, we need a new product for this group or to solve this problem? How have you been tackling that?
2013 was a time when we were catering to, again, the young population, like let's say early 20s, and we are sitting at like 7-8 years down the line, and those age group have now shifted to early 30s or late 30s. So the whole idea came up with that we can't be doing only what we started with. We have to mature with our audience as well. Then the idea was created, like we need the product, we need products like which can cater to these audience which have actually grown up with us. And there was the idea of having multiple products. Like we have OK Tested, which is right now catering to a lot of young audience, like even less than 18 audience as well. We have ScoopWhoop already, like that's a legacy product which is catering to a lot of different age groups. And then as you already mentioned, Sujit, Unscripted, which is catering to the news segment of our part, because now we know that the people who were earlier following us for the memes are looking at us for the real news as well. And Unscripted, we are trying to listen to them. We are trying to cater them with the real news now, because these guys who were earlier college students have become serious. They want to talk on serious issues, so we want to talk to them on that as well.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that insight. When we look at the media space, right, one is it's a crowded space, and especially when you look at India, as Indians, we love our entertainment, right? Be it news, as in I treat news as entertainment the way it goes today, our cricket, our movies, etc. Now, media companies traditionally have been very tech shy, as in slow on tech adoption, where a lot of the focus is more on things like breaking news content. Can I get something that will hook audience in terms of what's the latest and so on and so forth, and not so much focus on the user experience, innovation, and with all the background and how you shared your journey at ScoopWhoop of how you've been thinking of net new products, knowing how your user is really changing in terms of their demographics and ensuring that you continue to be relevant for them. How have you really thought through the whole technology solution to cater to this challenge, right? If you could walk us through that journey, the complexity, but from a tech perspective, and then finally, how have you been able to come to, I'm sure it's an ongoing journey, to a solution that you believe is the right one for you folks right now?
Yeah. So personally, I have experience with some big corps as well when it comes to media organizations. This is not my first time working in a tech media environment, and I think Sujit, you are right that a lot of times the news channels or the media organization, the media houses are focusing more on the content part, more on the breaking news part, less on the UX when it comes to the the tech products. And there the problem starts, because then if it is at the back of their a priority two for them, uh, then they're going to lose a lot. So I think the answer to this has been always been the same, that you should have your objectives in the design from the day one itself. And what you will find with us, ScoopWhoop, we are not just tech enabled. Tech is not just supporting kind of structure for us. Tech is, we are a kind of like a tech company itself. Like we have a parallel structure building with the content, tech and product. And when I say product, I see product and tech together first of all. So I I don't see them very different. So tech and product and with the content, they go hand in hand together, and that's how I think we'll be able to build successful products. So that is on we are that's our ongoing journey. So we are trying to mature, we are trying to understand. So yeah, the answer is in design. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So just on that, I wanted to double click, right? So can you share with us some of your basic tenets that you have come to arrive at ScoopWhoop, saying that this is how we will ensure that tech and product are integrated? Is there anything that you would want to share with the audience? I would love to see if we can pick up some of the learnings from there and share.
Yeah. So I think the answer is in collaboration. And when it comes to inter-team communications, where using kind of like tools which they can collaborate on, and the communication channels, these should be really open. Now there's a very old problem with all the techies. We tend to be a little bit introverts, and news media organizations are completely extroverts, like they're the opposite of what techies are. So now there is a rift between the two teams. One is the content team, which is creating the content with those are very outgoing. One is the techie team who are creating the product, and they are very working in silos. You have to fill that gap with that communication, with that tools, and you can do that uh, with tools like collaborative tools, like even like we use Google Sheets a lot, where it's easier to use. That is the reason. Like we have a lot of products like Slack or whatever. Like you can name a lot of products, but I think Sheets is easier because people understand old products like Excel, and I can simply ask my content team to come on Excel and post their feedback there, and tech would also react on, and Sheets can be integrated everywhere. So yeah, we are using that.
Oh, that's amazing insight. As in a lot of the time, and thank you for giving that as an input, Piyush, because a lot of the times, whenever we speak as the technology community, we only tend to focus on the technology aspects of it. When we forget the human aspect of it, to make something work and where technology can truly deliver value, you need to bridge that communication gap, which is culture, people, etc., and super critical part of an ensuring transformations are successful. With that, let me switch over to Ankit. Ankit, at Sears, you folks work with a wide breadth or variety of customers, right? Large traditional businesses who have a lot of history that they have to manage as they are charting their transformation agenda. And then you have young companies like ScoopWhoop who are raring to go and constantly pushing the envelope as far as use of cutting edge technology is concerned. I'm sure these folks, like ScoopWhoop, are way more challenging. How does Sears change its engagement model when you starting off your engagements with organizations like ScoopWhoop?
Sujit, thanks for the question. Though I would have also appreciated a rapid fire so that I could compete with Piyush for the hamper.
I will send some your way, Ankit, very soon. Thank
Okay,
you.
I will avoid those difficult surprise questions. I'll just be happy with the hamper. But coming to the point that you were bringing, yes, this is very interesting topic for us. At Sears, obviously, we are working with Google Cloud, which probably would be most fantastic piece of technology which is out there. Our job as a consulting partner organization will be definitely to offer flexibility as a service, if I can call it that way. A lot of enterprises that we work with, a lot of organizations that have fully staffed teams, they essentially still believe in the traditional world that there would be somebody like Sears that comes in and does the whole job for them. And they obviously take supervisory roles and auditing roles on the jobs that we deliver for them. Uh, Most of the startups and the startups, they do not want direct involvement from Sears because they would like to truly do it themselves. They would probably like to debate and argue, and they would have very strong opinions about how the future of technology is. Piyush made some sensational comments already around how AI/ML is hyped and how microservices is hyped. I think we'll have to change our script a little now to kind of fit in with what he says. But certainly, the young organizations have strong opinions, and that's the differentiation that they are obviously launching their products in the market. For an organization that Piyush represents at ScoopWhoop, we know that they've been in the market. They have a brand to protect. They have what they typically now engage with us is a consulting service as well. So what we typically try to do is to find that middle path. Now, the interesting thing that is emerging is a lot of those traditional services models are breaking where people would have very fixed scope of work and you will have 40 people get into projects for 6 months exactly and there will be a sprint. What we now know is one has to have a much more client success relationship which is ongoing, and as trends change, as new topics emerge, you obviously want to just work together like one team in a partnership concept. So we are obviously learning from our clients like Scopo. We call them partners. And for me, yes, the flexibility as a service is probably the mantra to ensure that I can cover the spectrum of companies which are absolutely daredevils to companies that want to play kind of absolutely safe. And we should, I mean, whether it comes to how much to automate, I mean, I'm sorry if I'm speaking a little too much, but let's say how much to automate when it comes to infrastructure. Uh, they're completely academic projects which will ensure that it is a very sophisticated code pipeline. But perhaps the business is kind of detached from it already because the business is satisfied 3 weeks back with the effort. Uh, Piyush highlighted one more thing. A lot of techies can tend to get introverted, and also whenever we find the personalities and we map the organization, we obviously try to ensure that we are mapping all the stakeholders so that we can also give our assessment as to what is right and wrong. My last line, and I'm sorry to make this thing such a long one. Uh, we've worked with uh, all these startups from their early years of inception, and primarily we have been taking Google technology. Uh, Google technology has been great. Piyush should probably alluded to it with his Google Sheets example. just 3 days back, when the entire half the internet went down, I think Verge was reporting news not through a WordPress site but through Google Docs. So what we know is technology is a great equalizer. It's Google's been at the forefront with new things, and all these startups that we work with, we've basically been obviously learning with them and improvising with them. Uh, so that's my long answer. And next time I'll
Thank
try
you.
to
Let me summarize that, right? So a few things
yes.
that I picked up. Point number one, in terms of engagement model, flexibility as a service. I love that. And I think that is super critical. And this is connected to the point that I shared, that every customer partner that we speak with call out the complexity in driving that transformation. It's just not easy. There's no straightforward answers, unfortunately. The second piece is meeting your customers where they are. It doesn't matter where they are. Daredevil startups like ScoopWhoop who are trying to push the envelope, or traditional businesses and enterprises who have a lot of history that they need to really tackle and slowly manage transformation. So love those insights and approaches, Ankit. With that, Piyush, I'm going to come to you, right? You did speak about the challenges, your basic tenets of how you have looked at solving for business opportunities and challenges at ScoopWhoop using technology. Why did you look at Google Cloud as a solution portfolio? I'm sure you would have evaluated several technologies, as in knowing your tech background. Um, while answering that, what will be helpful is if you could really focus on three compelling reasons that got you to say, I'm going to double down on Google Cloud as my tech stack.
I'm not gonna lie. I've used all cloud services, whatever you can name, uh, and Google Cloud is quite young as compared to you know how many other the players are, and our viewers might agree to that. Why why Google Cloud? So not the part of that three pointers which you have asked for, Sujit, but I'll say that Google Cloud runs Google.com. So that is the biggest selling point for Google Cloud. But the second thing is that what I really found that when I was using other services, I could not see the customer, the sense of listening to your customer, taking feedback from your customer, and I felt like कि अब तो फंस चुके हो, अब तो आपकी शादी हो चुकी है और डिवोर्स हो नहीं सकता, because your application is so much intermingled with the cloud provider, and that is the biggest loss for any cloud provider company, that if you are taking your customer for granted. That's where I found that Ankit, Searce, with Google Cloud, they guys provided a marvelous solution to me, which was you know not to, first of all, not to make applications super intermingled and dependent on the infra. You should be ready to move whenever you want. And the second thing was that the customer part of it, not forgetting about your customer, that you don't have any other option. I really find that. So this was my first point. Second point was, I think, is price and performance. Those things are really important when it comes. So you can get really good performance from a, let's say, a luxury car, but you should be able to afford it as well. That is the biggest problem right now. The cost is the biggest challenge. So that is one part, and the third part would be security. I think security के मामले में तो uh, many big companies have failed, and what I see in GCP, that the interface looks different, but it's not under par. Us techies should give it a chance. Again, the same problem, introvert problem. अभी किसी चीज में stick हो गया है तो फिर वहीं रहने का है, नहीं. You have to understand that this interface has been thought by a lot of scientists. A lot of feedback has gone into it, and that interface has come in where Google Cloud has given us IAMs in a set fashion. The security loopholes have been catered to. So I think these were the three reasons which actually pushed me to move.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Piyush. So I want to share some of my own experience, right? Because I've myself been a marketer in the cloud services space for well over a decade now. And I keep on sharing this with a lot of the customers that I engage with. What are you really trying to solve? Do you want a platform where it can be a plumber's delight, where every nut and bolt can be turned around and you can tweak and you can play around with? Or are you looking to solve your business problem and you want to be able to find the most frictionless and seamless way to be able to achieve it, such that your tech talent can really focus on the core problem statements and opportunities and not get caught up with turning the nuts and bolts? And I say that GCP is the latter, which is you can actually go and solve for your business problems, and the platform takes care of the heavy lifting. And you alluded to that point with the security aspect. So I wanted to just double click on one more area, right, Piyush? So you called about price and performance. You spoke about the customer centricity and the attitude with which we came and engaged with you, and then some of the features like security. What are there any other aspects that you got as feedback from your team? And to the point that you mentioned, right, a lot of the tech professionals may have built their expertise around a certain platform. Also because GCP is a new platform in the market as compared to some of the others who have been there for a longer period of time. Did you get any feedback or from your team as you were trying to chart this journey that clearly stood out and said, hey, seems like we made the right decision?
Uh, it was a mixed feedback. So more of like, there were some certain areas where I would say that my implementers, my core technicians, they were having problems. Uh, 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 if you would allow me to quote one example as well, which
Sure, sure.
was
Absolutely.
it was actually a challenging exam. It's a challenge right now, which me and Ankit and Google Cloud, we together are trying to solve. So there is a service in the market known as an email service, and that is somehow missing in GCP. And our application was dependent on, some API calls to that service. When we moved to GCP, that service was missing, and we had to go to a outsource model, where Google enabled partnership, but that was something which we were not happy with, because we actually wanted our systems to be integrated in one system. So there are challenges, like it's not hunky dory and everything is completely fine. There are challenges. G Suite hai, there is a solution, but it's not that funky, that how integrable the email services, some email services. So that's what I'm saying, like we need these kind of small things. इस तरह के feedback आए हैं. It's a mixed kind of a bag, but overall I think the biggest challenge was solved when we gave a feedback and the response was cool. We got heard. Someone was listening to us and then saying, okay, fine, we'll work on your feedback.
Awesome. No, so thank you for bringing that out. As a lot of the times, and especially when customers share stories through platforms like these, right? We all focus on all the awesome part of the experience, and we kind of put everything that went wrong or we tried to solve during the entire journey under the carpet. So thank you for highlighting that. And that's again to the point I made, right? As in the whole transformation journey is a complex one, and it's about really iterating together as partners and making things happen for our customers. That's what really focus on, and that's why we have partners like Searce really enabling that for us. So with that, Ankit, I'm going to come to you, right? Um, Give us some insights on the whole engagement journey with ScoopWhoop, right? Right from the day when ScoopWhoop decided, hey, let's shake hands and let's start the journey, all the way to now, as in what all are you really enabling for ScoopWhoop and its team?
Certainly, Sujit. And thanks for making my life a little easier, Piyush, because as Madhavan in a movie famously said, कोई भी platform perfect नहीं होता है, platform को perfect बनाना पड़ता है. So with that disclaimer, certainly it's a good story when a media company essentially is trying to pivot and becoming a tech company. We obviously have to start with the basic plumbing, Sujit, that you were mentioning. So you have to kind of get the infrastructure components right. They have to work seamlessly so that people can elevate themselves and not be bogged down by support and scaling and all those kinds of issues that probably plague a lot of the tech teams most of the time. The second piece is that media is very, very cost sensitive. The There's always so much more that you can do. You can keep delighting your users, you can keep adding more content. The revenues essentially are always, I mean, there's competition on the revenue side, so let me put it that way. So how do we enable technology that will keep scaling as more Indians visit ScoopWhoop, but we are not complicating our infrastructure? So on the DevOps side and on the DevOps automation side, Piyush and his team have been extremely focused. An exception to the standard pattern is that the ScoopWhoop team also became enterprisey. So uh, things which we have to fix as we keep hearing about security leaks and everything is to have a great IAM and security scorecard. uh, I would be honest, a lot of startups, and when we are working with them, we kind of jump through those steps very quickly because nobody wants to be patiently waiting for it. It's not like it's an airline company which will spend 2 months ensuring that identity and security is kind of taken care of. But Piyush entry into the ScoopWhoop organization, that was probably one of the first projects that we took. Lastly, uh, there have been series of healthy debates. Uh, should we go towards a more serverless microservices environment? Should we basically try to package our application into containers and use GKE? Very powerful tooling, very powerful capability, but we need to obviously thoroughly understand Piyush requirements and the roadmaps. And I do have a small little slide on that also. That is our current engagement. Uh, I will not use the word MLAI only because Piyush has now gone on record to say that it's a technology which whose time is yet to come. So I'll skip that. Yeah, but we have been insisting that they need to find more use cases. Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get there. I'm definitely sure we'll get there. I know we are running against time, but I wanted to come to the last question, Piyush, and you kind of touched upon this right in the beginning, right? The human aspect, the culture aspect. But I wanted to, and you give an example of Google Sheets, but overall, ever since you've made the transition to Google Cloud Platform, especially within your technology team, how have things changed culturally on how you folks do things together, collaborate to make things happen, especially considering the business exigencies in terms of timelines, etc., that you would probably be dealing with?
So as I said, that my alternative career would have been philosophy professor. So that is the that part is coming in this human aspect, philosophy, and I think you have to choose your partners very carefully. This for every listener right now, because you'll see that choosing your partners is gonna make you behave for that product what you're building, right? Uh, Kind of like a joke I would like to put in. आपका finance department is gonna behave like Indian government because they're working with them. They are their partners. So if you're working with a partner who are kind of slow place moving, the culture is like that, you will also become that. Simple human aspect to it. So I think in that case, Google has been really helpful. If you're working with a company like Google, you will absorb productivity, get absorbed, the culture gets absorbed, the fast pace, the kind of the positive environment where we're able to look for the solution and stop playing the game game. These things start developing in the team and we start focusing on developing products. वो एक standard set होता है that happens in that. So I think that was the biggest impact which I have been having. Like, this is not just a recent thing, it has been happening for a long time since I have partnered with Google on various services, not just cloud. And so I love to partner with the organization who are like that, whose culture is good. When I get to know that the culture is flawed, I try to get a little bit of jittery when I'm trying to partner with them, because I know that somehow the teammates who are in direct interaction with them is going to absorb that. So I think that is the answer.
Awesome. That is pretty interesting. So Piyush, I have got a couple of rapid fire questions that I'll wrap it up with. And Ankit, I have one for you too.
okay. On the word.
So let me start with this. Piyush, if you, and this is more to get a perspective of you as a technologist or a professional, right? If you are to re-architect ScoopWhoop from scratch, no history, what will you change drastically?
Everything. As a techie's answer is, we want to rebuild. We want to start from the scratch. We have made mistakes while building our architecture. We want to rebuild it. We want to stop that intermingling with the platform. yeah, so everything.
Awesome. And the other question is, if you were to outsource one thing about your job that you really, really could get rid of, what
I
is that
think
part of your job that you would want to outsource?
I think I waste a lot of time, like, in this ethics and philosophy part a lot, and that is shown in the hiring part when I'm headhunting. So I really would want if someone would take this away from me, I could focus on the product and the directives, what we want to achieve, and not focus on finding the right people all the time. Because even if you have the huge HR department, whatever, like in the end, it comes to us to choose the right people. So yeah, so that hiring part I want to really outsource.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you, Piyush. And Ankit, here's the one to you. What is the one thing that you dream of every night when you hit the bed that I hope tomorrow morning when I wake up and I speak to my customers, they will get this?
Actually, what I really hope is nobody's website will go down tonight. we enable every company to go for CI/CD. We want them to release more frequent patches. We obviously are pushing the boundaries with everybody. I just hope every day that we will keep everybody up and running all the time.
Always we'll keep them up and running. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for this amazing conversation.